What is up, guys? This is DJ Talks, and this is part two of our Tespa series. On my right is Dan. I'm Johnny.
What's up?
If yeah, what's up? So if you haven't already watched our episode from last week, it's not absolutely necessary by any means, but I really recommend that you watch it because a lot of what I'll be talking about in this episode and what Dan will be, inquiring me about, since it is kind of about an experience that I had, will relate a lot to that video, and it is going to require like a little bit of knowledge of what Tespa is. But if you don't feel like watching it, that's cool. I'm glad you're here anyway.
Oh, we're still going to be talking about Johnny's experience in, what was it, California, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about whatever he did at Blizzard and all that stuff, so you can still fully enjoy this episode, as well as our sweet smiling faces and our super cool personalities, all that stuff.
Absolutely. Dan's got it right on the money. So it is going to be way more chill. Like you said last episode, this episode is a little different in that we had two types of podcast episodes that we were rolling with thus far. This is going to be a different type where we talk specifically about experiences and we really elaborate on them and just have a conversation about it. So as always, thanks for stopping by. If you have any criticisms or feedback, you could, drop a comment or email us. But I'm ready to get started. How you feeling, Dan?
I am totally ready to get started. I guess first off, what is it? Tespa, Blizzard paid for your entire trip over there, right?
Yes.
That's really nice. Oh,
yeah, that's pretty nice. just saying, yeah, that's pretty nice.
Kind of nice there. How was the experience initially? Let's say when you first landed, what did you do?
Yeah, so let's start by talking. I'm gonna talk about that as soon as I tell our audience what the hell I was doing out there.
Okay.
So, if you watch last episode, then you'll already know that I am a regional coordinator for Tespa. Long story short, I work with college esports programs to make sure that they get themselves off the ground and that they establish themselves to create meaningful experiences with gamers in their universities, colleges, and communities. So, every year for the past 3 years, including this year, Tespa has hosted a summer retreat where they fly out all the regional coordinators, a couple of chapter leaders, and a couple of tournament admins to come out to meet each other, to go do some workshops together, to do some training, and also just to have a fucking good time. I had a really good time out in Irvine, which is where Blizzard HQ is located, which is also where Tespa HQ is located, since Tespa has an office in on Blizzard's campus. But basically, I was flown out there to do a little bit of RC training and also to work with chapter leaders. You can kind of think of it as a camp counselor position where I was overseeing chapter leaders and leading activities with them, trying to get to know them because they are going to be the people I'm working with throughout the year. But I also got to meet my RC team, and I got to meet a lot of people at HQ. I got to do a lot of really cool things and see a lot of really cool stuff that I wasn't even aware of.
So let's give a shout out to them.
Yeah, okay. Holy shit!
All right, just
really
let's say RC team. RC team. You're the people you're going to be working closest with.
All right, so I'm gonna first give a shout out to all the chapter leaders that came out. I know that this is really hard for you guys because not only did you have to apply for to get out there, but then you also had to like go way out of your comfort zone to come to Irvine and then meet a bunch of people that you never met before. It seems kind of sketchy, just being flown out there to do all this really cool stuff, and like you don't have to pay for any of it, and you go home with all this cool stuff. But really, thanks for coming out, and it means a lot. Shout out to everybody at HQ who made my experience amazing. You guys planned a really fucking phenomenal event, and you gave me a lot of memories, and you gave me and everyone else who went a lot of lifelong memories that I'm gonna remember. I won't forget. That was really poorly worded. But lastly, the RC team, man, they're so fucking dope, man. The team is like super diverse, ton of people with different backgrounds. There's only 10 of us, but then we all really value the same things, and we're all really talented. And I'm really glad that I'm working with a team of people who like they actually care about this shit, you know. Um, I don't know. These guys and girls are just like, holy, they're so fucking dope.
Sounds
But
like a cool
anyway,
bunch of people.
yeah,
So,
oh, man. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, um, I went out there as a regional coordinator to do a little bit of training to learn more about what TESPA stands for, what our programs are, some of the plans that we have for the year, and then working with our chapter leaders. So it really was like a, just a retreat, get out there, have some fun sort of thing. But there was a lot of learning that we did.
training, learning, of course.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. There was we committed a day to just the RC spending time with each other and doing some training, doing some team building. Since this is the first time that we all met each other in person. Well, some of them already met each other before, but this is the first time that we were all together as an RC team.
Right.
And for reference, while this is my team, I also have a partner in that team who is assigned to the same region of the United States and Canada that I am in. They also have their own little subgroups, but we are working collectively together as a unit, as a driving force to make sure that chapter leaders in TESPA are successful.
Okay. So, what did you initially, I guess, break it down? You can give a quick summary first.
So
Almost a day by day now. Did you kind of just workshop throughout the day and kind of hang out and party at night? That kind of what it sounds like.
um I'm gonna go even further back. Oh, no, 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 I'm not. I'm gonna answer your question because that makes more sense in my mind. No, there's just so much to talk about. I'm gonna like lose myself in rambling, but each day had a theme. And these themes were along the lines of like learning, reflecting, listening, and things like that. And the workshops were dedicated to that theme. And so there were a lot of presentations, workshops, interactive activities that we got to do, and they all had different points, and they were trying to paint this picture about what TESPA really cares about, um, which is their students. And I think that I'm in a really fucking cool position to have been able to meet these people and to have it's kind of like meeting the future leaders of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet
Future
people that are
leaders of
probably going
esports.
to be working, you know, yeah, they are basically going to be the future leaders of esports. Like some I can already see some of them being in a position I'm in right now, next year.
Right.
And I see a lot of potential for the esports programs of these people, um, here with TESPA.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that their organizations are going to do well because these people are very smart, they're very driven, and I think that they took a lot of time over this retreat to embody the vision of TESPA, um, which is really nice because you don't generally meet a lot of people of different backgrounds who care about the same thing. You at least not in my experience. And generally people will be there for their own motivations and reasons, which everyone has, their own goals set for themselves
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing what they're doing for a reason. But this experience was really nice because a lot of these people are very genuine, and I guess my gut tells me that these people are going to be friends that I keep for a long time. I especially the RCs. I think that I can see that some of them are going to be people that I stick with for a while, and it's really nice that I was able to find a community like that outside of college because from a lot of people that I've spoken to and in my experience, that's pretty rare. You don't get a chance to develop these hard-hitting relationships that stick with you
Have
after
people who are
college.
super interested in almost the exact same things as you, the similar goals and similar drives that you want to create this community of people. So, sounds like super cool people. Now, interestingly, obviously, TESPA is part of the Blizzard HQ. They have a campus there. You got to, I'm assuming you got to explore the Blizzard HQ itself.
Yes,
Okay. What is
we
it
did
like?
a campus tour.
What is it like? What did they show you? What can you not tell us that you can tell us?
Um,
Gonna go through Blizzard in your kind of
Yes.
experience
So,
at Blizzard?
um, we did have a campus tour, so we got to see a lot of like where the departments were, and we got to see a lot of how people worked, and um, there was a lot of really cool stuff that you see in these office buildings that you won't see in most other office buildings. Like in every building, there's a pretty big, fucking huge like statue of a noteworthy character made by Blizzard. Like there's a huge tracer in one of the buildings. There was a huge Tyrael in another. Um, they were really fucking cool to see. And you also got to see I just got to see really randomly cool stuff like the Blizzard Cafe that recently opened in the past year. They have their own little like food eating area, but then they also have a Starbucks inside
Mm-hmm.
that has Blizzard themed drinks in it that they make. So that was pretty cool. We also got to see a little bit of how different teams work, how different games are organized, and who the developers are and within each other. Um, Got to see some of the facilities that Blizzard employees had access to,
Mm-hmm.
which are pretty it was pretty cool. So that was like a small part of the retreat, honestly.
Okay.
We spent a lot more time doing stuff with each other, but getting to see Blizzard HQ is pretty fucking dope.
Definitely, definitely. And how close is it? Like, it's on the same, you say, campus with Tespa. Is
Mhm.
it exactly the same where it's kind of like a walking distance, or is it all part of one building?
It is all part of one campus, and there are multiple buildings on this
Okay.
campus. So different buildings are dedicated to different functions of Blizzard, and Tespa happens to be one of them.
I see. Now, would you say there's like different departments? Like Hearthstone is a department, World of Warcraft is a department, Diablo is a department.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
what's really cool is that the Tespa building is the Blizzard's esports building. So the Tespa HQ staff works right next to the esports team. So they have a lot of really cool opportunities to bounce ideas off each other and do a pretty cool stuff. And it's not like there's a huge disconnect between the two.
Super cool. Then super
Yeah.
cool. All right. Now that we've explored a little bit of Blizzard itself, I kind of want to get your take. You said every day had a theme with Tespa. You
Mhm.
had specific workshops there. Um, if you can tell us what you guys kind of what you learned specifically about Tespa, kind of break it down. What were the themes of each day? Or
So as you can see in my cool Tespa Padfolio that they gave
are
me,
you able to buy that online?
no,
Oh, darn.
no, this shit
Can't
is
sell.
legit. It's legit.
Well, what can
Um,
you buy online?
None of this. Here, I gotta show you some other cool stuff. In this booklet that they gave us for everyone that went to retreat, they created like profiles for everybody that was attending, and they let us have the opportunity to like share bios.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm a regional coordinator, I do get to share a page with my other fellow regional coordinators. So that's me and my goof ass, with my partner. Um, and then they also gave us some really cool stuff like this Tespa backpack that you're not gonna see anywhere else. I also have a really fucking dope jacket. I feature it in my
In your
uh
photo.
on my Instagram. So it's hanging over there and I don't want to leave my setup.
Yeah,
So if you want to see the jacket, check out my Instagram, at Presmango, I think. So it's a really fucking dope jacket. I'm telling you,
it
man.
looks
It's got my
really
name on
cool.
it and everything.
It looks super
Um,
cool. So,
yeah. So but yeah, so every day had a theme, and the workshops, presentations, panels were around that theme. The first day was connect and reveal. The second day was learn and share, and the third day was inspire and energize.
okay.
And so every day we would try our best to connect with those themes by thinking about what value and what goals we had for ourselves, and then for the chapter leaders it was for their chapters, their organizations. um as an RC, my job was to help facilitate those conversations. I didn't lead the conversations. I let my chapter leaders lead the conversation, but I would point them in the right direction or offer them a little bit of advice where I felt they needed it. Maybe if they were lost or if they were thinking about a bunch of different things, I would help them hone in on one idea, think about that, and then go to another one.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of these workshops challenge the RC, not the RCs, the chapter leaders to think about what they really wanted, for their chapters, what some of their weaknesses were
Right.
as chapter leaders, how they're gonna work on those weaknesses, and how they're gonna share their knowledge and their ability to work as a team with their own executive boards. And it was really important for me to stay and act as a resource and as a mentor to make sure that they could ask me the dumb questions they want. They could ask me some of the more hard hitting, specific questions that
Mhm.
they may have. And it's my job was to make sure that I could offer advice where I could, or even better, direct them to another RC who might be an expert in one specific thing that I may not have experience in, which is why this diverse RC team is so cool because um, we're trying to make sure that chapter leaders from regions across the nation and Canada will be able to access all of us. Generally, schools are assigned to a region, and that region will have RCs that are assigned to that school. But we're trying to make it so while those assignments are respected, the connections and the resources are fluid.
Are still there. Perfect. So
Yes.
let's break it down now then. Day one, you said it was connectivity.
Uh,
Why did I
Connect
just
and
make?
review or something. Yeah.
I just totally made that up. Connect and reveal. What was the main kind of, I guess, highlighting point of connect and reveal that you kind of noticed um throughout the day? What
I
was a
think
big theme, or what was the big kind of discussion, big topic that they?
it was definitely it was definitely the idea that people could be vulnerable with each other and learn to trust each other. So a really big thing about the retreat this year was that there's a lot of positive feedback on the idea that people were able to build genuine relationships with each other, and it didn't feel like a career fair where a bunch of people um, just kind of circle jerk each other and talk about relationships that they want to build with each other and develop their networks that don't really have any meaning. A lot of these people genuinely wanted to get to know each other and really enjoyed spending time with each other. And then there were also opportunities for us to reveal and ourselves and to be vulnerable and to share things like our weaknesses, share things like life events that um, may have impacted us and change and led to who we are today. It was also a really big introductory day to where like, oh, now we're getting to know people, and now we're getting to put faces to names, and now we're getting to figure out who does what and where and why. So that was a really big highlight of that day, and I think that was just really nice that people presented themselves in a way that made it so I could have conversations with them as human beings. That was really apparent when I was able to talk to like the founders of Tespa, and I was able to talk to some people working at Blizzard HQ.
Mm-hmm.
Not Tespa HQ, but Blizzard HQ, and I was able to have very real and casual conversations with these people. Maybe talk about our favorite video games, or maybe
Right.
we were talking about something that happened to us last week, or I could talk about how I'm gonna fucking be in Japan when this episode's live, stuff like that, and I could hear more about what these people's thoughts on life were. I could pick at their brains. I could see what they really cared about, what their motivations were, and why they were there.
Right. And
So
it's like a community where you finally, or you don't have to kind of skirt around, or even kind of fake a little bit of who you are or what you're interested in, or um, in order to kind of create some type of relationship where you can actually just be yourself. These people have the same interests, from what it sounds like. They have the same goals. They have everything. They like to play video games, everything about it. And then they had somewhat similar experiences throughout their life, or school, or however it is. At least that's what it sounds like to me, where you guys can kind of be
yeah, and I mean a
break it.
lot of these men and women that have attended experienced a lot of discrimination. They just experienced getting picked on and bullied because they were gamers, and it was a really nice opportunity for people to be themselves and but also to be who they wanted to be, which is something that I personally found a lot of value in. I think that while I was out there, I was able to be somebody else, and I was able to embrace that, and my peers loved that. Um, and when I say that I was somebody else, I don't mean that I was disingenuous and I was putting on a mask and I was, um, I wasn't who I really am. But I think that it my peers really let me embrace my identity and the goofy things and the weird things about me, while giving me the empowering me and giving me the inspiration to vocalize my opinions, my thoughts, and my concerns, whether I thought something went really well or it didn't go well. Um, in with respect to being in the esports community. So that's something that I personally found a lot of value in, and I think that a lot of the people that attended also found value in.
A lot of gamers themselves need to find that community so they can feel a part of something.
Right.
That's definitely great and sounds like an amazing experience there. Now, that was day one. Huge highlight of day one. Day two. What was that theme again?
I don't remember. This one was learn and share.
All right. So, what was the highlight kind of this day? What did you guys discuss? Is it exactly like it sounds, where you learned about each other and you shared experiences?
Yes.
Oh, there
So
you go.
I kind of alluded to it in talking about day one, which is slightly inaccurate, but in day two, we did a really cool activity where we do I have it with me? Yes. We I'm gonna keep it far away so you can't really see, but we took a sheet of paper and folded it 6 times, and I just don't want the camera to see because there's some personal stuff on here. But and we drew out 6 very important life events that we feel identify and signify who we are. So that activity was very
exposing.
Yeah.
It makes you feel very vulnerable.
Yes.
These
because
are huge experiences. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And it was really cool because I was in the room with 6 other people who were on my team, and then one of the co-founders of Tespa was there, and we all got a chance to hear each other's stories, and we all got to talk about things that we cared about. Actually, Adam forgot to do one himself, so he didn't actually do it. He's one of the co-founders of Tespa. He forgot to do one, but everyone else did. So he was there listening, but then everyone else got a chance to share and listen to other people's life stories, and it really was an important activity that a lot of people valued, because not only were people comfortable enough to have that safe space to talk about the major happy and sad moments in their life that gave them identity, but also the fact that it kind of like marked how close we had gotten in such a short amount of time. And it also showed me that I was capable of developing relationships with my chapter leaders to a point where they could trust me to help them and to support them, which is why they were willing to be vulnerable with me, and vice versa. I believe that they are willing to be honest with me, and that they value working with me, which is why they were willing to listen to my life story and listen to what I have to say and things like that. So that was a pretty big activity that we found a lot of value in. There are other workshops and other presentations that were pretty good too. But we ended the day doing an escape room together, which was really nice. It put us in out of our element, but in a environment where we had to work together to solve little puzzles and problems that not everyone may necessarily be able to.
Sounds super cool there. And just for reference, how long were you here for again?
5 days.
Okay. Which
it was
makes
actually 6 days, because I left on Wednesday, August 9th, and I got back on Monday, August 14th. So if you're counting the actual number of days, it was 6, but the retreat was 4 days. The actual activities went on from August 10th to August 13th. August 10th was day 0 because that was a RC day only. So then all the other chapter leaders and tournament admins spent the 11th to the 13th doing all this really cool stuff. And then the 9th and the 14th were dedicated travel days.
Yeah. Which makes the weight of what you said even more so, because you were only there technically with the chapter leaders for only 3 days. Okay? And you can create these relationships that seem so powerful, that you seem like you have um, made such an impact already and created these friendships within 3 days versus maybe some other relationships in your past that may have taken even 4 years that probably don't feel even the same. So definitely something really cool that I noticed there as well. And then finally, the third day. Theme of that one was again.
Oh, I'm so bad at remembering this. Inspire and energize.
All right, same thing again. Let's go over a highlight of that day. What was the main factor or main theme that you noticed throughout the day among the chapter leaders, among you, or among other people itself?
Mm-hmm.
Inspire and I'm equally as bad.
And energize.
And energize. There you go.
I think the biggest things about Sunday was that we got a bit of a reality check about some of the real problems that you can have with your organizations, and then we also got a really good chance to hear from people who had been successful. We got to hear from the guy who basically established everything at UC Irvine. His name is Mark. We got to hear from Twitch, and they sent a representative over to meet with us and talk to us about developing a chapter and running it like a business and how to be successful there. We also got a professor of media from Miami University to kind of give us a keynote speech about how he sees our value as young leaders and where we can impact the world. So I think that Sunday was really important because it was a very calm day, because there weren't as many hugely active activities, but then there were a lot of things that we were able to do or we were able to listen to and learn that really set the chapter leaders up for success. And I think that was the most important thing. A lot of the presentations may not have been as valuable for someone like me who had already been a chapter leader and now is a regional coordinator, but it put us in a position where we all had the same tools and the same resources. And as a regional coordinator, I can really feel confident that my chapter leaders are going to do a really good job. So I think that was really important from what we did on Sunday. And I think that the chapter leaders really did learn a lot. But
deep end of the
yeah,
end of the 3-day run there. So,
and every day we did a reflection, which is where I did two actually. I did one with my North region, which was my partner, and then my chapter leaders that were in the North region who came, and we would just talk about like what they liked, what they didn't like, any concerns that they had. We let them voice them, and we got to just talk about those kind of highlight ideas. And then we did a regional coordinator reflection. Now, I'm just gonna, yeah, the chapter leader reflections that I did with my region, we scheduled 15 minutes for them, but each of them went like 30 to 40 minutes, which is really nice because the RCs, or not the RCs, the chapter leaders actually had opinions, and there were things that they wanted to talk about and share with us. And they trusted us enough to share those opinions, which is really nice. The RC reflections, we scheduled like another 15, 20 minutes for them. Every day we went an hour and a half. And mind you, everyone started their day at 8 a.m. and we ended our day at like 10 or 11 p.m. And these reflections would happen after that. So the RCs were so comfortable with each other and so willing to listen to each other that we were okay staying up to like 12, 1, 2, even 3 a.m. just talking to each other about what we liked, what we didn't like, challenging each other on different ideas and our criticisms, thinking about where we could further develop our ideas into what we thought was valuable at the retreat, what we thought wasn't valuable, and just getting to know each other. Like, it wasn't even on a schedule for the RCs to have a reflection every day. It was something that we voluntarily chose to do. And my manager came in and participated in the discussions because he wanted to learn more about us and he wanted to be part of the conversation and he wanted to um, offer any insightful advice that he had.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really happy that we were getting together on our own to have these conversations. Um, and I think that this is the first real team that I've been a part of where people actually value me as a human being. They offer me a lot of positive reinforcement, and I can do the same for them. So now this is the part of the podcast where we're going to transition a little more about like less about what I did, and I think that would be cool to talk more about like my perception and my view and how I felt about everything.
Okay.
So I think that one of the biggest things about this uh this retreat was that, and it's gonna sound really weird, I felt valued as a human being because there have been very few, if any, organizations that I've ever been a part of or groups of people where I immediately felt valuable, desired, and welcome. Because I've it was really weird receiving so much positive reinforcement and compliments and support from my team when I never asked for it, nor did I ever feel like I did anything to constitute that. And granted, I also did the same. Like I would talk up my fellow RCs and I would I would support them in their ideas and I would challenge them, but we were able to have constructive conversation about what we liked and didn't like about each other's ideas, and we were able to take each other apart without offending or hurting each other. But it was really weird because um, I would be introduced to other people where they would speak highly of me and they would tell me really nice things, and um, it it really reinforced the idea that I was able to be someone else out there where I was very confident, I was very well spoken, I was very comfortable, and I was also okay being vulnerable and being told I was wrong. So just being able to have the support of a team like that, and knowing that I can comfortably take the initiative while also knowing when to sit back and let someone else lead, um, was also really nice in a team like this. So that also got me thinking about, the relationships that I developed there, and then even further, whether or not I want to move out there for a full-time job. I think that there are a lot of people that I clicked with right away
Hmm.
that made it so I could very easily develop relationships with them. There are also people that I didn't click with well right away, but it was a mutual feeling that we wanted to get to know each other better because we knew that we had something different to offer onto the table. Um, and it was really nice knowing that these people believe in me the way I believe in them to create meaningful experiences, to offer something to the world of esports, and to do something impactful for others. And that was a very unique feeling. That's a very unique experience. And maybe I'm sure that there are other companies out there who can do the same thing for other people. I'm sure that there might be another company that can offer me the same. But I think that right now I can honestly say that the people that I met over this retreat, especially the RCs, are people that I would very much like to work with in the future. Um, Maybe that'll be at Tespa, maybe it won't, but it'd be really fucking awesome if that was the case. And I think that it'll be really good for me this year after to take advantage of figuring that out. Working as an RC, working with Tespa, um, and doing everything I'm going to be doing with my team to see whether or not this is something that I can really take advantage of in the future. Yeah, so I know that was a lot. So like,
Woo! That
yeah,
was
I
that's really good though. I'm glad you got to experience. I'm sad that you haven't experienced anything specifically like that, but I'm glad you have gotten to experience that with an organization or a group of people, um, and moving along the way, and you're growing as well. So that's something super cool, and it sounds like you not only helped a lot of people like the chapter leaders, well, grow a little bit themselves and kind of figure out lead and direct them toward what they need um, do to accomplish their own goals. At the same time, everybody else there helped you grow and figure out kind of and feel or part of something, or you actually belong to something, which is something rare for a lot of people to actually have. I guess one last thing then. What one thing was the most fun that you actually did, or you would consider the most exciting thing that you did during this entire 5 or 6 days that you were there? If you can highlight one moment, like, wow, this was super cool, other than that super deep emotional connection you had with these people, definitely something that you can take away, but something super exciting, super fun, experienced with all of these people together during the 6 days.
Man, that's really hard.
Or let's say if you want to list out the top 3 things, not limited, but
I think working with my chapter leaders was definitely one of the greater highlights, if not the highlight of my trip, because coming through high school and college, I was very confident that I was a really good leader. I always felt that I was like really fucking good at coming up with a vision and thinking about it and trying to put it into action. That was the case in high school when I was very naive um and like mm, and there wasn't as much on the line, let's put it that way.
okay.
Coming into college, I was so wrong because I didn't take the time to refine my vision, and I wasn't as good of a listener as I thought I was. So that was a huge reality check. So then those moments where I was working with my chapter leaders and they would really take into consideration and to heart what advice I was offering them, you could see it in their eyes. You could tell by the intensity of the way they were participating in the conversation. And those were signs to me that I was making steps in the right direction. That I'm not an amazing leader um, yet, and maybe I will never be. Maybe I'll only continue to get better and better, and I'll learn to the best of my ability how I can lead by letting others lead. But that was a really big thing for me because being a good leader means that you can maximize or approach that fullness of how much of an impact you can have on other people's lives. And I believe that working my chapter leaders was a really big sign of that. um on a similar note, i think I think every time I was with all of my RCs, or like the majority of them, it was a really good feeling to know that I was surrounded by people who I liked, who
Mm-hmm.
liked me, and who also just brought like a really warm, comfortable atmosphere that um was really rare. And the sad thing is that we're not going to have many opportunities to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the retreat is going to be one of less than 3, maybe less than 5 opportunities for us to all get together and hang out with each other. There might be opportunities in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I can make my way out to BlizzCon, I will, because I know that a lot of my RCs will be out there, or my fellow RCs will be out there. If there's a PAX that a lot of them are going to, yeah, maybe I'll try to go to that.
Oh yeah.
If there's like a big event that we're coordinating together nationally with our regions, then maybe that'll happen. But honestly, aren't going to be very many chances for us to get together and hang out, maybe outside of Discord and playing games online or something. So the moments that I got where I was having like a real conversation with real people, and I didn't really have to hold back, and I didn't really have to feel like I was out of my element,
Mm-hmm.
was it was definitely where I felt the happiest. It may not have been the most exciting per se.
Yeah.
I think, how did I forget this? Okay. I think that one of the most exciting moments of my trip was the first time I walked into Blizzard HQ.
Okay.
Because when I walked in, I was like, leading up to this point, I had imposter syndrome like really fucking hard. I'm like, I don't know how the hell I got here. Like, there's no way I deserve to be here. You know, I don't think I'm qualified or blah 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 blah. And then, you know, leading up to there, walking in through those doors and like seeing everything for real, like for real, for real. It was like I was shaking, I was freaking out. I'm like, there's no way this is real. Like, I can't believe I'm actually here.
Mhm.
And I haven't made it yet, but this was a checkpoint. And that checkpoint was knowing that like this is very real and that I can accomplish it.
Mhm.
Um, I think that moment was also really big. So those are my top three. Yeah, working with my chapter leaders and understanding that I can still be a good leader. The warm feeling of having a supportive team with my RCs, and my first moments walking to Blizzard HQ.
Oof. That's, I feel like, a perfect place to end off on that happy note there.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so too.
I'm glad everybody got to join in. If you guys watched through this video, join in on Johnny's experience as well. If you liked the video, definitely feel free to give us a like on the video. Subscribe to us. Follow our social media in the comments below. Um, Definitely, if you have anything to tell us, or if you have topics that you are curious about or you want us to talk about, feel free to leave it as well. We will be doing this or putting one out at least every week. So stay tuned for that. And second thing is, I completely forgot to say this in our first part one, have that small little change in our logo.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that is something super temporary, or maybe temporary, or may not be temporary. We don't even know yet. We're still working on something. But hope you guys like it. It's a little start. It's really basic, really simple, but something pretty cool. So, any final words here, Johnny?
If you loved this episode, make sure you subscribe. As always, feedback is welcome. And thanks for listening to me, like, you know, give a fucking testimony on why I loved my experience with Blizzard and Tespa. But yeah, thanks again for coming in. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next week.
See you next week.